Good morning. Welcome to this June 3rd Board of Commissioners meeting. Do we have anyone here for public comment? All right, seeing none. First up is Stephen Deckard for the body-worn cameras. Good morning, Stephen.
Finally, some beautiful weather.
We'll take it.
Absolutely. So, this is something that we've been in the works for nearly a year. From starting the research process to building out a strategy for evaluating and now deployment. So, what we have is the policy for body-worn cameras. I'll just go through and summarize a few key points. First, in the state of Indiana, we're one-party consent state guideline. So, our providers are the one party that is consenting for the body camera to be on, so we don't require additional consent from other parties. However, in respect to patients' autonomy and patient rights, if the patient requests that the body camera be turned off, we will turn the body camera off. Okay. Ultimately, through this, it specifies where we are going to be utilizing them. It's only for calls. It's not, something that we're going to be, walking through Walmart picking up groceries for the shift dinner and, we're wearing the body camera. That's not going to be it. We're also going to use this for training for the paramedic and EMT programs. Everything within this is HIPAA compliant. And it is not a part of the medical record as acknowledged through Indiana code. And so this is not something that will be accessible at patient request. So those are the big things that I've got to touch base on. Any comments, questions, concerns?
You've had them trial run for what? Has it been a year?
We did a trial run for a little over 3 months, and then they took their equipment back. They sent us, was it April when they sent us all the equipment, Tim? And then we met with them first week of May and have been building this out since then. So,
okay.
I will say personally, wearing the body camera myself, I did not have a single patient question it. And we also had some great after action reviews of some high acuity cases that we were able to break things down. And, one of the providers, she said, this has given me a completely different perspective of how things actually went. I didn't realize in that moment that's what was going on. So it's been very valuable for us to have.
And also, kind of another tentacle off that is training, right?
Yes.
The ability to follow up on a situation and look at it internally and improve going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in the United States of America, the third leading cause of death is medical error. And, human error was never going to go away. All we can do is get 1% better from each case. So this gives us the opportunity to really grow.
Okay.
So.
Good reaction from the employees?
Yeah, honestly, it's mixed, right? Some are like, yep, absolutely see the value. Others were pretty hesitant and pushed back. I think it was pretty, speaking with law enforcement is pretty standard across, their deployment as well. Today, though, they have accepted that this is coming. It is going to be a tool. And, we define in here that our staff is not going to be subject to additional reprimand or unwarranted investigation simply because of the body camera. If we see, data from our chart that, prompts additional investigation, they're going to receive the same coaching and disciplinary action that they would have based on the medical record, but now we can just view it more of a real-time situation. So as of today, the staff is accepting that it's coming. So we're going to do a soft rollout. It'll be supervisors first, then we will eventually get to all staff members before the end of 2025. So.
Okay. Any other questions?
No.
Do these turn themselves on when?
We'll have to turn them on when we get out of the
They turn them
ambulance.
on?
Yep.
Okay.
So.
Any other comments or questions?
No, good.
Okay.
There's over 100 some EMS agencies doing this throughout the country already. New Orleans EMS is probably the largest EMS agency that's doing it in the country. These have really taken traction in Texas too. And Texas has been using body-worn cameras since pre-2017. So this is something that we see a growing market and a growing need for it. Illinois tried to pass a bill last year that mandated all EMS personnel wear body cameras. It ended up not making it through, but there's more and more attention being paid to this. So this is just a way we can be out in front of it and make sure we're doing things right when it comes time that everybody's going to have to do it, just like law enforcement.
Yep.
So.
All right.
Good.
So
Thanks, Stephen.
Do we have a motion to approve the body-worn camera policy?
I will make that motion that we accept the body camera effective immediately.
Okay.
second.
All right, motion carries 3-0. Thanks, Stephen. All right, next we have Liz Stitzel with area plan update. Good morning, Liz.
Good morning. Sorry, good morning. I do have a voice. And I have several items this morning to make up the averages of not having some for a few weeks. First, coming back around to the two houses that we've been discussing periodically this year. We have the one over in Hillisburg, which you've now placed two different liens on. He has paid those, but he still has not contacted the health department, nor has he submitted any kind of plan to us in terms of timeline or anything else to attempt to get that house habitable again. So, it's still in the same thing. You could find it another time, or you could move towards condemnation and tear down would be your two options. The one down on 39, they have not paid the first two bills, so that the second one, the third still is also not paid, and it's headed to Tom for placing a lien. The last fine was $1,000, and then they are not mowing now, so we just sent the mower out, despite reaching out to the attorney that had reached out to us. Nobody mowed that. So I think Kat was trying to check with Nash to see if he'd received any kind of plan, but she didn't make a note here either way, so I'm guessing they didn't manage to touch base with each other before the meeting this morning to find out if we had anything other than that initial, hey, we're going to try to do something about it. So both of those are up for, either moving towards condemnation or a fourth fine, I think, is where we'd be at this point, which I believe you can go up to 2,500, same as the third. You're just into that higher range. So.
Gentlemen, any thoughts? Which direction you'd like to go?
So the first one in Hillisburg, they have brought it current with the amount of liens or the amount of,
He's been paying the fines. The last fine you just did 500 because he had shown up the first time when, we first were discussing it. So yes, Kat said he's been paying those as they've been coming through, but he hasn't contacted the health department about trying. I mean, we don't know if it's going to be possible to get a septic on that lot, but he hasn't made any effort to try to get a plan together. We haven't had any further contact from him. We asked him initially, if you could just get us a proposed timeline of what he thought he could do, that we could try to work with him on. So it's just been no contact other than the fact that he's paid those. He's not letting them stack up and go as tax liens.
well, it seems odd that he would be paying the fines and bringing those current and not have some intentions. I wonder if it would work if we simply notified him again and asked him what's his intentions, because I hate to just put liens on, or fines on it and then having him bring them up to date each time.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, based on the conversation with him before, I think he's in a difficult and not improving financial situation. Maybe it will improve eventually, I don't know, but I think his limitations are he's got too many things in too many places and has had some life changes, and is just trying to float and hang on to things and doesn't have enough resources to move forward with them at this point. That's kind of what my read's been on it when you talk to him and he goes through all the things that have happened to him over the last 3 or 4 years, and and I suspect maybe that's why we don't have a plan, is because he isn't sure when he's going to have the money to be able to put a septic in.
Communicate with that, and then,
Yeah.
I mean, just simply paying the fines all the time doesn't make sense to.
I think he doesn't want to lose it, is my guess. He knows if it goes as a tax lien, then
I would suggest that we reach out to him and ask him to contact you, and that,
we'll try again. I'll ask Kat to try again. He hasn't been responsive, recently,
I understand.
other than we've just noticed we get the
Payment.
money
Payment,
paid,
yeah.
made,
Well,
but
that's
yeah.
my thoughts.
I would give it, I would be in favor of giving him one more opportunity to without another fine, just to, okay, hey, now it's time to make a decision here.
Okay, yep, I'll ask Kat to give him a call.
Yeah.
And I can bring that back at the next meeting.
I'm guessing it'll come back,
Yeah.
is my assumption.
Oh,
I mean,
I'm-
if you're getting fined and then you're not responding and now we're just gonna reach out with no fine, the odds that he's gonna respond are probably slim to none.
Yeah,
But I would say
Likely.
if we reach out and then at our next meeting, we probably need to take some course of more action towards
I
it.
agree.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about the one on 39? South of town, that's the one that we had some contact from the, it's owned by a large, company that has a lot of rentals, which neither good nor bad, sometimes they have resources, at the same time, they have a lot of properties that are not, emotionally connected per se, it's just business where things fall out, so we had contact from the attorney, and then, again, we haven't, as far as we know, unless there's something that Nash knows that didn't get through to Cat, we haven't received a solid plan on that, and then we did let him know that the grass was getting tall and that wasn't mowed, so we're mowing that this week.
I'd say bump the fine up to 2,500.
That's your max, yep,
Yeah.
okay. All right, we'll do that. So then, getting into, oh, wait, did you need to vote on that?
We did. I'll make the motion that we increase the fine to the $2,500.
I'll second.
All right. 3-0 on that.
And I've got a new one to discuss, quite kind of new. You'll be familiar with it, but it's been a hot minute. I'm going to give this to you so you can just kind of look at the pictures. Knock everything down. So this is up on State Road 26, and we discussed this, it's probably been a year ago, so Kevin, you probably won't recollect it, but Jordan and Bert may. This is a house that is actively collapsing. It's not something that, I'm not going to say it can't be repaired, but it's not something you're just going to put a Band-Aid on and be back in it. It's been there a long time. We were moving forward, taking action on it, and then a neighbor who had purchased land adjacent had asked that it be removed off the tax sale, or he was going to try to purchase it, and I think that's what it was. He was going to try to purchase it in tax sale.
Yeah.
So he asked us to hold off on any action so that it wouldn't accrue more expenses. So we chose to hold off. He did not end up purchasing it in tax sale. Somebody else did, and, was aware that it needed to come down, and nothing's happened, and we're getting complaints called in. So we're just sort of re-energizing this one to see if we'd like to either condemn or fine. But it has not responded. It's been posted. They've not responded in any way, shape, or form in terms of either taking it down or reaching out to us about it.
I would say we start out with the fine since it has the new owner and then move towards condemnation after probably 2 or 3 fines would be
Yeah.
my suggestion.
This one, I don't think, don't get me wrong, sometimes somebody surprises you and they want to put large amounts of money into something, but you could take this down and build back much cheaper than you could. This isn't like the other two we've been discussing where the house is basically sound and you have a septic failure creating this situation. This one, the
There's no
house
hope
is
for
definitely
this.
the problem.
No. Yeah, that would be my suggestion.
I'd agree with that.
What's our fine amount?
I'm working from memory, your first fine, I want to say you guys usually do like 100 or 150 on your first one. It's low. Tom, do you remember offhand what that range is for the first fine?
Let's go 150. All right. We have a motion.
I'll make that motion.
All right, motion, second, Bert.
Second.
All right, motion carries 3-0 for the property on 26, first fine.
Kat will get that out, and we'll do like the others when we get to where we're placing a lien, we'll bring it back to talk about.
Okay,
So my last item, I'm shifting gears. You guys had asked me to bring up at this meeting for some, at least initial awareness. We had discussed on the topic of BESS and battery energy, the possibility of placing a moratorium for up to a year, not to do anything illegal by taking the right of somebody to apply for a use, but because we don't have specific ordinances, and that use does need some larger setbacks, some additional research and discussion about the effects of sound. There's unique components to that use. So what the moratorium would do is it would mean within, not area plans jurisdiction, but within Clinton County Commissioner's jurisdiction, any applications for that use would be rejected temporarily until such time as either the one-year moratorium rolled off or the ordinances were adopted, whichever came first. And the purpose of moratoriums under state law is exactly that. It's to allow a community to place a pause on a use where they evaluate what regulations and what processes are best suited to determining case by case when applications come in what you want to do with them. So I had supplied information that Area Plan had drafted in terms of a potential moratorium that I believe all three of you had received. I do think it is an ordinance, so Tom would have to advise you. I know there's a process you have to go through to adopt an ordinance, and I'm not intimately familiar with all of the rules that you deal with in that adoption process separately from zoning. But several of you had asked me to go ahead and bring it up as an initial discussion point.
Do you think that if we go forward with the moratorium, that gives them an indication that we're thinking about allowing that to come forward?
So I would say the same thing with all uses. So I think we're getting a lot of inquiries on them. Of course, we have renewables in our community, so it's a common thing. Increasingly, they're going in with power plants, any kind of substation. Electric cooperatives are more and more commonly placing at least a few units in that location. Anywhere that you've got a renewable installation, you get them. And then more so, they're starting to pop up as standalone units. We've had at least 2 inquiries on standalones that are separate from a substation or a renewable installation. And basically, in all cases, what they do is when there's excess energy on the grid, whether that's coming from a production point in our community or whether it's just excess within the wires going by, it stores it. And then when something happens that causes there to either not be enough energy on the grid, or if part of the grid goes down, it allows them to pull that back out and push it on to make up the difference so that residents don't end up having no power, at least for a longer period of time before everything ends up crashing if they can't get whatever the issue was resolved that created the deficiency. So that's why they view it that way. I think it is, not just here, but throughout the entire nation, something that's coming regardless of if you have an ordinance or not. State law says if you don't have rules for something, then you have to kind of go with next best or whatever's closest to. So there's not having rules doesn't mean you can reject something. It just means you have to handle it the best you can, which may in fact not be the way that you'd want to handle it. So how people perceive it, I guess, may be unique person by person, but my advice would not be to wait until there's an application and there's no process and it won't be able to even come to you for a conversation. It's just going to have to go through under some other set of standards. And then people are going, well, why wasn't this even discussed, in terms of the location?
I think it's obvious that because we have the solar farm and we've allowed that to happen, we become an easy target for these other companies to think that we will accept those things. And quite honestly, I'm not for accepting them at this point. There's a lot of negative and a lot of pushback on these units at the present time. Injuries to fire departments because they're a fire hazard, et cetera. So at this point, I'm not in favor of moving forward with them. So my intention would be to stop it before it gets started. So,
Well, I think the ideal there from an ordinance perspective then would be to create an overlay district similarly to solar and wind specific to BESS. That would mean if one applied, it would start with a rezoning set of hearings through area plan and then to the commissioners for a final decision, allowing you to decide whether or not you want to work with that project moving forward at the zoning stage before it gets into the standards. Right now, depending on whether it was paired with, say, the solar farm, it would just be considered an accessory use and go in under solar standards. Or if it was something completely separate, we'd have to either go with the solar or the wind standards. It's the closest thing we have. And I'll be honest, neither one is suited. Like you mentioned, there are some things that are unique to BESS. They do need to have different setbacks, different concerns, even if you are going to have one, like, you wouldn't just want it willy-nilly wherever, however. You'd want control over making sure that it's reasonably safe, that it takes into account what's near it, that it's not creating a problem or a danger to people that,
And my guess is
May
they're
be
gonna wanna
nearby.
come close to where the solar farm is now. They're not gonna wanna go on, let's say, Kirkland area to.
if
again,
it's something by AES, it's probably going to be within the solar footprint or near it, because it needs to be able to store power off the solar.
Sure.
However, most of the other ones we've gotten have been standalone, so anywhere, initially it was anywhere you had transmission lines, but now even on the smaller lines, they just, the trickle rate is different when it's in a smaller line. But we've had some up in Ross Township, talking to us, just inquiries, nothing where they're like, here's a plan, or we've bought land, or we have a contract, just, hey, we're looking at this possibility. And we've had some down in the south side of the county too. So I don't think that they necessarily have to be, the way that technology is working, they don't have to be near a renewable. It can be a standalone as well. So it's I think stating where you fall on it is important in terms of you not wanting someone to misconstrue. But my advice would be, don't view adopting an ordinance as meaning that you support. View adopting an ordinance as making sure that not just for you, but any future commissioners, you have the ability to consider and control on a case-by-case basis, and you don't end up with something that is potentially large and having a significant effect just appearing without being able to legally have any conversation other than calls from constituents.
So the moratorium will then will give us
Time.
plenty of time
Time.
to
Yeah,
look at all
yes.
this,
Yep.
and we can,
And we've already done a couple visits. Before we draft some initial language, we want to do one more because we're aware there's a sound component, and we want to go hear one when it's a hot day and every fan is running, before we decide what kind of mitigation is most appropriate. So we've got one more visit we want to do to one that's on operation before we start to draft some initial language for discussion. And then, when we get into drafting ordinances, we typically do an ordinance committee. We have in the past had, a commissioner choose to sit in on that, sometimes not. But once that ordinance committee gets something that they're like, okay, we think this is reasonably sound, then it moves to the plan commission and then to you. Of course, as in the past, when there's something that we know is a discussion point, we're going to try to float drafts. So you're not suddenly surprised by something that's been recommended to you that you haven't had a chance to see or digest or discuss.
But for today, so we're getting a little deeper than we need to at the moment. For today, we just need to give direction and guidance to Tom if we want to adopt the moratorium, which will buy us time to then work out the details. That kind of summarizes
I definitely
that
believe-
discussion.
we need to
Okay,
look at that,
so
absolutely.
I'll second
think you-
the
I think you're
moratorium.
good. Yeah, all right. Well, we'll have Tom draft up the ordinance for the moratorium, and then we can put it on the agenda and go
Okay.
from there. So, all right, that sounds good. Anything else, Liz?
No, I believe that was all I had. That was plenty.
Okay,
So,
very good. Thank
if you
you.
need anything from me, let me know.
All right.
Thanks, Liz.
We have Rick Campbell with a highway update, as well as the State Road 28, 800 West roundabout closeout documents. Morning, Rick.
Morning. Wanted to start with the State Road 28 closeout document.
Okay. We got a lot here, so let us sift through it. No, that's bridge. Okay, do you want to, we'll sign it after, but do you want to walk us through it, or do you want me to kind of summarize it?
You kind of summarized it.
All right, for those that probably won't remember, because I had to look it up myself, the original project was around $4.8 million, if we recall, for the roundabout. It ended up actually coming in at about 4.3, so with rounding about $400,000 under for the roundabout, which does not happen very often. So commend Rick and his team, as well as BF&S, for their work on making that happen. So that kind of summarizes basically the financial side of it, and there's a lot of signatures, so we'll just do it.
Yes.
We'll take a motion to accept the closeout documents that have been gone through. This includes all the punch list items and the final invoices, and then we'll sign it after the meeting. So,
Okay, I'll make the motion.
Question first.
yep.
Obviously, the savings of 400 and some thousand, is that refundable? Do we have to give that back, or can we keep that? Or does it
Well,
have to
we
be-
were paying for it, so we just did not expend that much, so it should stay in the county funds, if you recall, because we got a portion from the state
Okay.
for it, and then we were utilizing some funds from the highway as well as the ARPA funds to do the remainder of the project, and so I believe I don't know, internally, we'd have to look, but I think we used all the ARPA funds, so it'd be funds that were coming from the highways.
So the highway
departments. Yeah, they
benefit.
were kind of gonna be the gap at the end
Okay.
for that amount. For some reason, I wanna say we had a roughly 4.3 or 4.5, and we were about 300
300
short.
short.
So it should roughly.
So we're making that up ourselves?
Yeah, we were originally with the project, so that's savings that stay here.
I was just hoping the state wouldn't come back and mandatory say, hey, we didn't use what we anticipated, or put requirements that it has to be spent on a highway.
No, if you remember, it was specific to this roundabout project and how we got that $1.5 million. They paid for it, and that was the end. It wasn't a grant process or anything like that.
So
It
that's
was-
just money that's
Yeah.
gonna stay at the highway.
Yeah,
instead of-
stays there.
Correct,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Instead of
Good.
pulling his,
Good.
whichever fund we were gonna use balance down.
I didn't want to give it
stays
back.
in the balance, yeah. I don't think there's any getting
Okay.
it back right now,
Good.
so.
Okay?
So we had a motion. Do we have a second to?
Yes, I
move
would do
forward
a
with the
second.
close?
Mhm.
All right, motion carries 3-0 on that.
Thanks for the explanation.
Yep.
I also have the countywide bridge inspection consultants contract that needs to be signed by commissioners.
Okay. We've had some discussion over this, and this is to go with BF&S for a 4-year cycle, right? 4-year
Right,
cycle?
right.
Yep, for the county bridge inspections. Any
Motion to
questions?
approve.
Motion?
Second.
All right, motion carries 3-0.
And I have Dan and I think Kevin helped on these, found somebody from the railroad I have a contract, crossing pavement over agreement. I'd like for commissioners to sign so I could go ahead and talk with this guy and get that crossing in pores taken out. It's still got live wires and I can't touch it, so. I'd like for commissioners to sign this pave over agreement.
So do you need to talk to him before we sign it, or,
It looked like to me I had to get this signed first before he would talk to me.
gotcha.
That's usually the way they work.
All right,
Yeah.
so we have cross paving over agreement for the forest crossing. Do we have any questions or comments on it? If not, do we have a motion to move forward with this so Rick can start the conversation to have that removed?
I'll make the motion to sign the railroad.
Yeah. Letter of
crossing
intent.
agreement. Yeah.
I second that.
All right, motion carries 3-0. You had one more.
There's one more.
Supplement agreement number 1 for the rehab, Bridge
Bridge
60, which is 250 west over the Kilmore Creek. This is the construction and inspection for $49,000.
Right.
So it's with BF&S.
Yeah. Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion carries 3-0.
We're still wedging roads. We're on 100 North right now, and we got one side done, and they're coming back to the other side, and the traffic is just horrible. And so we were doing that. We took a break today, get away from it for today. And Central Paving was here and paved the 3 roads that they had to pave, so.
Okay.
They did it in a week, and then they came back the next Monday and did all the stone work, so that's all done. We're just waiting for Reese Riley to contact us so we can get Mulberry Jefferson paved.
Gotcha.
I guess that's all I got.
Okay. Any questions?
Rick, the 3 jobs that Central Paving did, all 3 of those look very nice. It's nice to see them. In fact, on
Yeah.
County Road 425, the widening of
Yeah.
that road made a big difference in safety,
That's 18 feet now.
and I appreciate the extra work.
Thank you.
All right.
All right,
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you, Rick.
Okay, we have a couple items under old business. The first one was mentioned at, I believe, our last meeting. It's for the storage lease agreement with William Miller for the storage unit during the kind of move from the courthouse to the annex and
Yeah.
all the items that need to be there. So do I have, the agreement's for 9 months and then allows to convert to a month.
So we have the
Additional.
flexibility and time that we may need.
9, the lease is for 9 for sure, and then it becomes month to month for
Okay.
8 additional months.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Let's hope it doesn't.
yeah. So do I have a motion to approve the storage lease agreement?
Motion to approve the lease for the storage space.
Okay.
Second.
All right, motion carries 3-0. The second item was not on the agenda, but when we were going through the moving last week, there was two departments that left off that list, so we will add those. That's the Child Support Office, and their price for moving is $2,410. And then, ironically, we left the Commissioner's office off of it as well, so, ourselves, and price is $545. So, motion to add those two to the
So move.
Second.
motion carries 3-0.
I don't want to move it. I don't want to do it. Just stay here, Supervisor.
All right, next item is under new business. We have 2 owners' reps proposals. So kind of to just be very blunt about it, we've run into some issues with the annex. And at this point, we need to hire a liaison to kind of be the intermediary between us and the construction company, just to kind of oversee some things and check on the details a little better going forward. So this owner's rep proposal will be for the finishing of the annex as well as the complete project here at the courthouse. So the first one is from the Peterson Company. They've broken it down, since we don't know how much or how often this will have to be, other than kind of working with their project timeline. They have 3, I'll just go through the hourly rates. They have 3 personnel that would be present on working on this project at various times, not on a weekly basis necessarily. A project manager, 145 at an hourly rate, a director of operations at 195, and then their vice president will be involved as well for 215. And then the second was from Intact Management Group, and it has 1 individual that would do the billing at $150 per hour for their time. So I think they're both good options. I would recommend to the board to work with Peterson Company. I think they will provide us the oversight that we need going forward, and they have the experience in terms of working on these type of projects that they can provide this. And so the funding for this is all part of the project. It's not additional funding needed. We have income as part of it that can be utilized for this. So any questions or comments on that?
No,
I
I
know
think,
from what I've read,
yeah, go ahead.
I'd make the motion to with the Peterson Company to do the inspections.
Okay.
And I would second that
All right.
completely.
Motion carries 3-0. We will hire them as our owner's reps for the remainder of Annex as well as the courthouse project. You have agreement? Service agreement, Health Department.
Sorry.
It just helps if I can see it. So next item under new business is we have a service agreement for the Board of Health. This is a little unique. Don't know that we've done anything like this since I've been here, but this is typically a county employee position, but we've run into some issues, and so for the time being, while the health department works on trying to fill this position at a full-time basis, we, the commissioners, are going to hire someone contractually to be the administrator of the department for an interim basis. That way they can still function and have some experience in there and not kind of just trying to figure it out on a daily basis. So we have a contract for service with Melissa Hodson Osler, and it is, the terms are very similar to what the full-time position would be. So it's 35 hours a week. It has the hourly pay. The weekly amount on the 35 hours will be $1,407 per week for the pay. And then one thing I will mention is, again, a little unique because it's a contractor, but we were able to get the language so that this contractor will fall within the guidelines of our handbook and the policies that are
Good.
expected there. So,
Good.
see Dr. Dominic here, anything you want to add, or is that kind of
I
covered?
think you covered it,
Okay.
and we do need that position filled now that it's vacant. And it allows the board to have time to find an appropriate person for a full-time position, that administrator that position.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
I think the board's worked hard on it from what my knowledge is, and at the same time, I've had the ability to talk to a couple of her references, and everybody has spoke really highly of her. So I think, like the doctor said, it's gives us some time to look at and think and make the right move to the next person. So I most definitely would make the motion that we accept that contract.
I'll second.
All right, motion carries 3-0. Yeah, go ahead. Good morning.
Hello, good morning. I am her.
Okay, thanks.
That's a good intro.
Hello, Dr. Dominic.
Good morning.
Commissioners and county officials, thank you for this opportunity. I am Melissa Hodson Osler. I'm a registered nurse of 30-some years, and I've been asked by Dr. Pearson and the Board of Health to serve as your interim public health administrator. Before I can even recall, I grew up playing alongside my father, my mother, my grandparents at work in what is now a 3-generation Clinton County business in Rossville. Dryer hoses make great slinkies, and you don't need Lego blocks when you have 90-degree elbows. Work ethic, service to others, integrity, and community are part of my Clinton County DNA. This carried on through my pursuit of a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing, leadership support in local congregations, our regional synods, serving our chamber board as an executive member, being a school advocate through endless years of sports and service community groups, including several years as a troop master for 336 out of Mulberry. Along with my 30 years plus of healthcare, my husband and I have also continued the traditions of community support through family-based businesses, raising our family here and caring for those same parents who came from all 4 sides of this county. In 2008, I began my career within my own community following 12 years at our state's largest trauma center, Methodist Hospital. This included not only health care, but also risk management, advocacy, interim assignments at University and Riley's Children's Hospital, and outpatient services of hospice. My next 12 years of leadership and administration at Arnett Hospital, and then were at Arnett Hospital during their construction and implementation. And then in June of 2020, I had the opportunity to take on the role of infection prevention and later as quality manager for IU Frankfurt Hospital. If you're not aware, IU Frankfurt Hospital holds one of the top state performances of patient safety in hospital-acquired infections. We also soared through 2 accreditation surveys and completed construction project during a pandemic. This was the role in which I began to fully understand the impact of rural health, resources, environmental standards, and the collaboration of agencies which support healthcare for all of us. I look forward to this period ahead, and I invite you to share any concerns, your priorities, or innovative ideas as we start this journey together. I want to thank the Board of Health, our previous administrator, Rodney Wayne, the very dedicated staff of Clinton County Health Department who have already welcomed me, and I really look forward to working with them, and the commissioners in your encouragement and support moving forward. Trust, transparency, and defined processes are very important to me. I believe that you are already aware, I do have extended family sitting before me today. I also have a son serving a fast food restaurant in this community. I promise you, I scrutinize him very meticulously every time I walk in, mostly him. I also have extended family in construction, dentistry, HVAC, EMS work, and past cancel. I have no concerns about my ability to carry out my duties diligently and without any bias. So I accept your contract. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Glad you said that. That gave everyone good perspective of your experience and your commitment to the community, and that's just what we need. So,
Yes.
thank you.
Very happy to be on board. Look forward to it. Could be working with Dr. Dominic while Dr. Pearson's out of town, and she's already set forth some priorities, so you'll see a lot of me.
Great.
Welcome aboard.
Gonna be
Thank
busy.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll get that signed after the meeting as well. All right, next item under new business is property appraiser.
So, yeah, we've come across a few more properties. They're on the side of Morrison Street, but they really just abut the railroad tracks. And so, but they're county-owned properties, and we need to get those back on the tax roll. And it's either one or two parcels, but I try to reach out, I always try to go to the cheaper option and see if I can find a residential appraiser to do it. I was told that that needs to be done by commercial appraisal, so we'll have to have one commercial appraisal done, and then we can ask Liz to help us out with the second one, so that way we can get two and start the process of trying to get these properties sold. So I just need your authorization to go ahead and engage a commercial property appraiser, and usually I've been using Roger Miller, who's always been very responsive to the county.
Okay.
All right.
Questions, concerns?
I have no questions at all.
All right. We have a
I think
motion
we
to
need to move
forward.
forward with
All right.
it, and so I would make the motion that we purchase the proper appraisers for the properties in question.
A second.
All right, motion carries 3-0. Move forward, Tom. Okay, next item, department head reports. Any department heads? See a few here. Anyone? Nope. Wow.
I have no report yet.
Yes.
I'm glad to hear that.
I don't
actually.
understand.
Okay, we will move past that. I think that's a first that we've not had anyone. Okay, commissioner reports. Do we have any commissioner reports?
Still working with the health group that we're trying to negotiate either with Howard Community or with the Jane Pauley or the state of Indiana, trying to get obviously a representative of our community again to move back in and start representing Clinton County. We've had some good successful meetings, but we're still in the working progress. We did send a letter to the state advising them that we needed somebody back in here quickly, that it's been 2 years that we've been put off and really didn't appreciate being slowed down quite so bad. They were receptive of moving forward quickly. So I don't know if that's another 2 years, but they said that they would get on it very quickly with us. At the same time, and I've kind of let it go by, quite honestly, we have the retirement. Actually, our EMA director has retired, and Daryl Sanders has given this county a tremendous amount of work and effort throughout the years, and I would really like to commend him for all of the work and effort that he's done. 16 or 17 years with the fire department in the city, and then I'm not real sure time-wise here, maybe about the same.
I think it was 18
About
or so,
18 years,
18
yeah.
or 20.
And he didn't want any, he didn't want any parties or going away parties or anything, but I think we owe him, and I would like to see if Jerry would be kind enough to purchase a card, and maybe we can pass it around and send it to him at least, appreciating his time and effort You know, I think Daryl has served our community very well over the years, and it's one of those jobs that's like insurance. If you don't need him, it seems like, you know, it's a necessary evil, but if you do need him, he was always there 24 hours or whatever it took. So I commend him, in my opinion, for well done.
Yeah, well said, Bert. I had that in my notes to mention
Okay,
that.
I
'Cause,
apologize.
No, I'm glad you did. May 31st was his last day
Yes.
as director, and like Bert said, we tried to get him to come and do something for him, but he wanted to go out in a different manner. So I will gonna have Jerry get him a card. I'll pay you for it. So we're not spending county money on this.
Yeah.
Just buy the card.
Yeah, we'll take up a collection.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
Stay less than $1 though, you know.
good luck. But Daryl.
One.
Yeah.
Daryl did great service to the community, and we'll have big shoes to fill there at EMA. So.
Yep.
You have anything else, Bert?
No, I'm good.
Okay. You have anything today, Kevin?
Nope.
Nope. All right. Only thing I have mentioned, we're moving forward with the project at the fairgrounds. I'll call it the replacement of the cattle barn livestock facility. Hopefully, with the permitting and the time crunch, we'll get everything done before the fair. That's the plan. So hopefully we get cooperative weather and it is up and going, but we'll keep you updated on that as well. Next, we have our claims.
You need to mention anything about the change in the area plan, or?
No, I'll do that next
Okay.
time. Yep. All right, we have our claims, May 23rd, in the amount of $2,622.11. Claim dated May 30th in the amount of $44,385.78. A biweekly from June 3rd in the amount of $816,478.11. And a court claim from June 3rd in the amount of $13,479.06. Motion to approve claims.
So move.
Second.
Motion, second. Motion carries 3-0 on claims. Next, we have payroll from May 16th in the amount of $580,200.57. Motion.
Motion to approve.
All right.
Second.
Motion carries 3-0. And lastly, we have our minutes from our May 20th meeting.
Motion to approve minutes.
And second.
All right, motion carries 3-0 on the minutes. Our next meeting will be June 17th here. Any other business to come before us this morning? All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All right,
Second.
thank you.
Thanks for coming, Dan.
Oh, Lieutenant Dan.